Welcome back. It's 91.8 Hayes FM. It's Nicola Fuster, your host, and I'm with Matthew Flavel. Is that how you say it?
Yes, no,
I got it right this time.
It's Flavel, actually.
Flavel, sorry about that. How are you today?
I'm very good, thank you, Nicola.
I can't believe you brought the rain.
Well, I think it's actually due to your bad directions getting here that the rain came, to be honest.
Everybody has a problem when they come here. Don't let that put you off, people. You can come in any time. So, tell us a little bit about yourself, Matt.
Well, Nicola, my name is Matthew Flavel, as you've already mentioned. I'm 33, I'm from Maidenhead, and I run a company called Boxing Evolution.
I felt like you were going to say, and I'm single. Sounded like you're on a dating show then.
Only when it comes to you, Nicola.
You didn't have to tell us your age. But okay, so you run Boxing Evolution, serious now. And how long have you been running that place?
Well, Boxing Evolution as a brand I've been running for about 7 years, but I've actually got my own gym, which obviously you know about, and that's been running for a year now.
Yeah, so we have actually had Matt on the show before, even though he wasn't here personally. We did a pre-record and we played that, so we spoke a little bit about your boxing gym. But tell us why you're actually here today.
Well, we actually have a very special guest coming down to the gym, and that special guest is Frank Bruno. So I'm sure many of you that are interested in boxing, and even those of you that aren't, will have heard of Frank Bruno and will know about who he is. And so I've come up to the radio show today just to tell the listeners that we're going to have Frank Bruno coming down to the gym for a special meet and greet event, and you can come and have your picture taken with him, asking questions and all that kind of stuff. And that is happening on Saturday the 2nd of July from 2 p.m.
Brilliant. Is that like an all-day thing?
It's going to be 3 hours, so we've got him from 2 o'clock till 5 o'clock. Obviously, Frank's a very busy man, so we're very lucky to have him just for those few hours. But yeah, you can come down during that time. We've actually got tickets available for pre-sale. The tickets are £20 on the door or £15 in advance if you want to get one. So yeah, if you're interested, get in contact. And
how can they contact you, or how can they buy a ticket?
They can find out all the contact details via the website, which is www.boxingevolution.com. So I'll say that once again, it's www.boxingevolution.com. Go on the website and you can find all the information about the event and the contact details, and feel free to email me or call me and ask me any other questions that you might have.
So for people that aren't necessarily into boxing, can you tell us a little bit about Frank Bruno? And how did you twist his arm as well to getting down to a gym?
Oh, well, you know, I've just got that gift of the gab, you know. And basically, you know, Frank is someone that is very well known in the boxing community, and outside of it, he's suffered a lot of life difficulties himself. He's had mental illness and stuff like that, and he's kind of overcome it and dealt with it, you know. So he's actually a very inspirational person, and he's absolutely a lovely guy as well.
That's interesting. I didn't realise that.
Yeah, he's actually got a great story, Frank has. So yeah.
Does he do talks as well?
I don't think he really actually does proper talks, but yeah, he's an interesting person to meet.
So if you get overwhelmed with people, they're all going to get a chance to see him?
Oh, we've had a lot of interest so far, So we've only got a limited number of tickets, only about 300.
Oh, right, okay. So everyone will get there sort of one-to-one and...
well, it's not really a one-to-one thing. We're going to divide it up into groups and slots. So basically, each group's going to get about 20 minutes with him, so they'll all have the opportunity to have a picture taken with him and, you know, ask him their questions and listen to him talk, which I think actually works out better than just, you know, queuing up, having a picture and then going out. So I think you get more value for money that way.
Yeah, definitely. Sounds good. So what else is going on in the Boxing Evolution gym at the moment?
Well, you know, we've been running a year. We had our first year anniversary the other day, so you know, that was a kind of big thing for us. You know,
where was my invite?
Well, I did invite you, Nicola, but you're always too busy, aren't you?
So what did you do for that?
Well, this is bringing Frank Bruno down is actually a way to you know, celebrate our 1 year anniversary. I would have liked to have had him, you know, nearer the date, but obviously he's busy as well, so I couldn't get him down. But this is our way of celebrating it, and yeah, so that's what we're planning. But we've also got you know, we've got lots in the pipeline. We've got our own boxing shows coming up, and you know, all kinds of little things going on. So
tell us about the boxing shows, and if it's something that we can get involved in, how can we?
Well, they're going to be white collar style boxing shows where you can come down to the gym, you can train up for a few months, and then get in and have a little ding dong in front of your mates, you know, raise some money for charity, that kind of thing. It's a great evening out. You've got the music, you've got the drinks, the tables, all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
So if you're not like a conditioned exerciser, you've never done boxing before, and you're thinking maybe you'd like to do this, how can they get involved? Is it possible to do it from beginner?
A lot of the people that do these white collar shows haven't actually boxed before. I don't personally, think it's a good idea to chuck someone in the ring, with, only a couple of weeks training. I think, you need at least 6 months training, but, it depends on the person and on their level of fitness and stuff like that. And, the white collar shows, they're done in a very safe environment. Often they're only 1.5 minute rounds instead of 2 or 3 minutes rounds that you get in pro boxing. You have big 16-ounce gloves, you have head guards, and all that kind of stuff. So it is, it's very safe.
So would you say boxing is like an expensive sport then? There's a lot of kit that you have to buy?
Not really, just a pair of boxing gloves, a gum shield, maybe a head guard and a groin guard, but generally to start off you can have just a pair of boxing gloves and that's all you really need.
And if you start as an absolute beginner, can you sort of borrow the gloves just to try it out and see if you're interested in doing it?
Yeah, we have all the gloves and all the equipment like the skipping ropes and the bags and everything down there that you need to start off with. A lot of people tend to want to buy their own gloves because, as you can imagine, a lot of people wearing the gloves and sweating in them day in, day out, they do tend to end up smelling a bit, but yeah. Generally
unique to your own.
Some people like that. Who am I to judge?
So, earlier on today's show, we've been talking about health and fitness in the terms of defining what exactly is health and fitness. So, just in case you weren't listening.
I had it on in the car on the way up.
How do you define health and how do you define fitness and the difference between the two? Just your own personal experience.
Well, health can, I suppose, be divided up into different categories. There's physical health and then there's also mental and psychological health. And health is also, whether you are ill, like if you don't have disease and stuff like that, how well your body functions, all that kind of stuff, your diet. Whereas fitness comes into kind of how much energy you can produce in a certain amount of time. I suppose that's a better way of defining fitness.
Yeah, that's a great answer. So how would you sort of rate your own health and fitness?
I'd say I'm extremely healthy and extremely fit.
So in order to stay extremely fit, what do you have to do?
Well, obviously fitness in itself is something that, changes over time. And for example, when it comes to being fighting fit or fit enough to box, you won't sustain that unless you actively work at it, and keep that level of fitness. And, it's quite often the case that you can't actually sustain that level of fitness for a certain amount of time. That's why boxers tend to have training camps. They build up to the fight, they peak their fitness just in time for the fight, and then they lay off and have a rest because the body can't work at that rate, forever. But you can, sustain a general overall level of good cardio and that kind of stuff.
So much like other sports as well, then you have seasons, off seasons, non-seasons, and different phases to your training.
Well, it depends on the type of boxing you're doing. When it comes to amateur boxing, they tend to be boxing every 2 or 3 weeks. But when it comes to more professional type boxing, because it's longer rounds and it's a higher number of rounds, then yeah, you do need to have proper dedicated camps towards your fights.
So what's your opinion on periodised training for the average person who's training doing gym classes, which may involve boxing or weights or various other things, doing the same thing day in, day out?
When you mean periodised training, do you mean just training for...
So different phases, or increasing the levels of training to a certain level and then tapering off, or having rest weeks or days in order to come back fitter and stronger?
I think, with any type of fitness training, it's very important that, you find the balance and that you do get, enough rest for your body to recover. A lot of people don't realise the importance of rest and recovery, because that is when your body is actually getting stronger. After a workout, your body is actually weaker because you've damaged the body, and it's when it repairs that you actually get stronger. And also, you need to increase the intensity and stuff like that of what you're doing over a period of time, but then you also do need to have rest weeks every now and then as well, just to give your body a chance to recharge and stuff like that as well. But again, it depends on the type of fitness training that you're doing. If you're doing high intensity anaerobic training, you can only sustain that for a certain amount of time. But if over a period of longer time you build up your base cardio, when you do come to then do the high level stuff again, you actually can go further because your base cardio is higher. So you can divide your fitness training up into periods where you're just working on strength and endurance and cardio, and then times when you're going for the extreme fitness.
So I was telling the listeners earlier how I did a course on strength and conditioning last week and how it benefits lots of different types of training. and there was a couple of boxes there actually. So we were working on strength and conditioning for boxing and how it really benefits it. Do you do much strength and conditioning with your clients?
Yeah, it depends on whether they're, what the clients are coming to me for. But for example, with one guy that I've been training, when hasn't got a fight in the too near distant future, then we'll work on building up his core strength and his general cardio and his stamina. And then as we approach coming up to near where the fight is, then we'll start working on the high intensity fitness and that kind of thing. And also we work more on skills development in the periods where he hasn't got a fight coming up, and then just work on speed and reflexes and stuff like that as we come nearer to the fight.
So you mentioned a few things there: speed, skills, stamina. What are all of these components that make up a good boxer?
Well, these are all the different aspects of boxing, and Boxing Evolution is all about actually teaching people about all these different aspects that are required to be successful in boxing, because these things can also be transferable into whatever else it is you want to do in life. And so Boxing Evolution isn't just necessarily about boxing, it's about using boxing to develop yourself so that you can be successful in whatever area it is you want to do in life. But for example, just on the physical level, there's speed, there's skill, there's fitness. Fitness can be broken into stamina, strength, flexibility, all that kind of stuff. And then there's the mental aspects of it as well, such as courage, discipline, confidence, persistence, motivation, aggression, self-control. So there's psychological, and then there's emotional as well. So once you start getting into it, it really does, go deep.
And you run courses on this type of thing, don't you?
I have developed a course. It's called Develop Your Full Potential as a Boxer. And as I just mentioned, we go through all of these different things that, are required to be successful in boxing. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you are going to become the next Floyd Mayweather, but what it does mean is that you understand what you need to do to reach your full potential in boxing. However, your talent might be in something completely different, say for example music or something else. Once you understand what is required to become successful, you can transfer those skills and put them into whatever it is that you do want to be successful at. And a great example of this is transferring it to business, because boxing, the metaphors needed for boxing and the metaphors for running business and starting your own business are so in line that it's perfect.
So where did you learn all this stuff from?
Well, all of this type stuff, well, obviously through doing boxing, you kind of learn this stuff just experientially, and being around those kinds of people. I've also been very into kind of philosophy and self-help and psychology and spirituality and all that kind of stuff too. So it's a combination of things that have led me to this point.
And how do you help various people then? Because obviously they come to you with different issues. So some people may have be naturally gifted at speed, but then not necessarily good at doing strength training or maybe even the coordination skills of hand to foot and so on.
Well, this is it. You have to just see your client, you have to assess them, you have to see what area they're lacking in, what areas they're strong in, and, create their training program relevant to what it is. You have some people who have a massive heart and aren't scared to get in the ring and, take punches, and they can do it all day long. However, their fitness might be bad, and you find that they gas out after 1 or 2 minutes, so then you think, okay, well, maybe you need to work more on your fitness. Other people can't control the temper, so you work on teaching them how to control their temper. Other people might be scared to get hit, so you have to gradually build them up and get them more and more used to being hit over time. It really does depend on the person. But sometimes you see some great technical boxers, but they're just lacking this internal kind of fire, so to speak, which means that they don't quite go for it when they need to. And it's very complicated. But
it's funny that you mentioned that internal fire, because part of the Fit Happens TV show that we've been filming, I did a boxing class, and the guy who was a teacher down in Harrow Fitness First, he said he doesn't fight anymore, and he used to fight, but then he had a break, and after having a break you lose that fire. Do you understand what he meant by that?
It depends I guess I understand what he means, but then at the same time, it's like I find once I've been training for too long, I tend to kind of lose motivation, then I need a break, then I find it coming back into me. So, I suppose it depends exactly what he meant by that. But
I think it was more in terms of an actual fight rather than training, like losing that switch on of aggression, I guess.
Maybe he's just matured and maybe he's developed.
Calmed down.
Yeah, where he hasn't got that anger inside of him anymore that makes him want to fight.
Do you think that happens then as people progress in age?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've noticed inside myself, a lot of my motivation for boxing was anger when I was younger, but as I've grown up and I've matured and I've found more of my self-confidence and self-worth, a lot of the things that used to make me want to fight have gone. So, I don't feel the need to fight as much as I did when I was younger.
And talking about being younger, you work with a lot of young people, don't you? Similar situation to where you started?
I have worked with quite a few young people. I'm not working with as many young people as I would like to, because I just find that the councils and authorities don't seem to provide the funding for things like this, which is a shame. And the amount of times I've actually had things in the pipeline and things have just fallen flat for one reason or another, usually for funding purposes. But I have worked with young people, and I found that I have had good results with some of them. I mean, for example, one young lad who came to the first ever boxing summer camp that I ran, he actually didn't have the money to do the summer camp, but because he turned up and he was really keen, I said, you know what, yeah, just come along and do it anyway. And I taught him all about the importance of determination and persistence and, going for your goals. And good news is that he's now gone on and he's been scouted for a professional football academy, and so sooner or later down the line you'll see him playing in the pro ranks, and so things like that are what make it all worthwhile.
Amazing. So also from going from boxing to football, very different.
Well, these things can apply to any area that you want to be successful in. And I tend to find that people that train in football or people that train in rugby and stuff like that, they can benefit a lot from coming and doing boxing training, especially for the physical attributes, but also for the self-control and the kind of internal aspects of it that it develops you as well. I guess with Boxing Evolution, it's almost bringing a martial arts kind of philosophy to boxing.
Absolutely. And it wouldn't be right to discuss anything to do with boxing without mentioning Muhammad Ali and his death. And how has that affected the boxing community?
Well, on my Facebook, I mainly just have boxing people, and the past couple of days I haven't seen anything else other than tributes to Muhammad Ali. And I actually wore a t-shirt yesterday in tribute to him, and I put a picture up on my Facebook, and the t-shirt has a quote of Muhammad Ali's, and it says, "The man that has no imagination has no wings." And I think that is just a great quote and a great kind of way of explaining how it's all in the mind, and it's all about what you think creates your reality. Muhammad Ali really showed that with a strong mind anything is possible.
Absolutely. So did he play a part in your boxing career, do you think?
Of course he has. I mean, I wouldn't say a massive part, because I was too young really to ever see him boxing when he was around. Obviously I have watched his videos and I have watched what he's about, but there are some things that he's said and done and that have really stuck in my mind. And for a guy to relinquish his world title and go to prison for 5 years, just to stand by his beliefs and his self-conviction of not wanting to kill people, I think that is, what more can you say about a person?
Brilliant. So before we leave, because we are only here till 3 o'clock, do you want to just give the links again for people to contact you?
My website, basically, it's www.boxingevolution.com. I'll say that again, www.boxingevolution.com.
Okay, so if anybody has any questions for Matt, please tweet them in before 3 o'clock, and then we're out of here. So we're going to take a little track now and get those questions in.